It was early morning when Daniel, 37, woke up in a cold sweat for the third night in a row. He had achieved what many would call success: a nice house, a high salary, an imported car. But there was something he couldn't avoid: the suffocating feeling of being trapped in an invisible cycle. Every time he took one step forward, something pulled him back too: changing jobs, starting a new project, ending a relationship. Everything felt like a repetition disguised as something new. That night, he looked in the mirror, not to fix his hair or brush his teeth, but as if he were trying to recognize his own reflection. And it was there that he asked himself, is reality showing me what I am on the inside and not what I really want? This question, however uncomfortable it may seem, is one of the most powerful keys for anyone who wants to transform their life. The truth is that we don't live what we want. We live what we believe we are. This isn't superstition or a cheap motivational speech. It's a profound observation about how our mind shapes the way we interpret and react to the world around us. And more importantly, how these interpretations come back to us as a reflection. If you've ever found yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" perhaps the answer is there. You're seeing in the world what you're carrying inside. Now here's something curious. Studies in cognitive psychology show that around 80% of the thoughts we have on a daily basis are repetitive, and at least 60% of these thoughts have a negative charge. This means that, without realizing it, we spend most of our time feeding a distorted reflection of ourselves. It's no coincidence that so many cycles repeat themselves in our lives. The world is not against you. It's just reflecting what you show it, even if unconsciously. But what if it were possible to reverse this? What if, instead of reacting to the reflection, you could project a new image, a new identity, a new vision, a new you? This is exactly what the mirror principle is about. It's not about magic or manipulating reality with empty positive thoughts. It's about a profound mental and emotional repositioning, where you stop being the reflection and become the source. And throughout this video, we're going to decode step by step how this principle works, why it changes everything, and above all, how you can start today to change the reflection you see every day, not in the bathroom mirror, but in the mirror of life. So if you feel like you're stuck in the same spot, repeating patterns, looking for changes out there with no real results, stick with me, because what follows has the potential to become the most important key in your journey. And it all starts with a simple choice: to look inwards and change the image you're projecting. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe the world isn't against you, but is just imitating you? This may seem strange at first glance, but there is a powerful and often overlooked principle that states exactly that. The reality you live in is a mirror of what you carry inside. It's not a poetic metaphor. It's a real, observable mechanism that is more present in your daily life than you realize. And perhaps this is the missing piece to understanding why so many things seem stuck, confused, or repetitive in your life. Let's start with a simple but frightening scientific fact. According to the National Science Foundation 2005, human beings have between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts a day, and approximately 80% of them are negative and 95% are repetitive. In other words, most people are stuck in an automatic mental pattern, feeding old beliefs without realizing it. If these beliefs are about scarcity, fear, insecurity, or unworthiness, guess what reality will reflect back? Exactly that. You may even be saying that you want to change, but if deep down you believe that you don't deserve it, aren't capable, or aren't enough, the universe can only respond with more evidence to validate this view. And here's the cruelest detail: the human mind always wants to be right. This is called confirmation bias, a phenomenon studied since the 1970s by psychologists such as Peter Wason. What does this mean? That you will, without realizing it, look for and cling to anything that confirms what you already believe. If you think you'll never succeed, your brain will filter reality to find reasons, failures, and situations that prove this truth. The result: you're living a movie that was written inside but projected outside. Now imagine this. You're watching a movie at the cinema and something on the screen doesn't appeal to you. You get up, go over to the projector, and start banging on the screen trying to change the image. Does that make sense? Of course not. The image is coming from the projector, not the screen. But that's exactly what most people do with their lives. They try to change the results, the situations, the relationships, when the problem lies at the place of origin, the internal image that is being projected. The world is just the screen. This principle goes back thousands of years. Ancient civilizations already talked about it. Egypt, for example, had the concept of as above, so below, as within, so without. What is inside manifests itself outside. The Greek philosopher Epictetus said, "It is not things that disturb us, but the interpretation we make of them." And today, modern neuroscience is beginning to confirm this ancient knowledge. Recent studies in neuroplasticity, such as those published in Nature Reviews Neuroscience 2020, show that the brain is shaped by repeated internal experiences. In other words, you literally become what you think about frequently. Your brain adapts reality to your identity, and that's why, without even realizing it, you may be living a reflection of an older version of yourself. Perhaps the reflection you see in the world today, the financial blockages, the complicated relationships, the feeling of not moving forward, has nothing to do with who you really are now, but with who you believed yourself to be months or even years ago. And the mirror of reality is only showing you what you haven't yet updated internally. Now, the good news: this is reversible. From the moment you change what's inside, the thoughts, the beliefs, the identity you choose to carry, the reflection changes too. Not instantly, because physical reality has a response time. But it changes. It always does. The mirror doesn't choose what to reflect. It just gives it back. If the reality around us is nothing more than a mirror of what exists within us, then we need to understand one thing with absolute clarity. The identity you carry is the invisible mold of your life. It's like the source code that determines every line of the program you live, from your decisions to the results you reap. But what is this identity anyway? It's not just your name, your profession, or what you say about yourself. Identity is the deep set of beliefs, perceptions, and emotions that you repeat so often that they come to define who you are. And most importantly, it is changeable. You can resignify, rewrite, and rebuild your identity, and in doing so, create a new world around you. Think about it. If you believe that you are unlucky, incompetent, or incapable of sustaining healthy relationships, your brain, which is programmable, will adjust your behavior, your reactions, and even your perception of events to confirm this identity. This is because the nervous system is driven by internal coherence. It will always try to align your actions with what you believe to be true about yourself. This is neurologically validated by functional neuroimaging studies, which show that the brain activates different networks when a person acts in alignment or misalignment with their self-image. Source: Journal of Neuroscience, 2018. But there's a vital detail that many people overlook. You don't have to become something you're not yet. The process is not about becoming from scratch, but about remembering the most authentic version of yourself, the one that may have been stifled by fear, trauma, or conditioning. That's why when you start to change internally, the external world reacts as if something is finally returning to its original place. It's not magic, it's alignment. Now imagine a security camera that records on a loop. It records everything day after day, and then plays back the same patterns as if it were a reflection. If you don't change the file that is being recorded, what is displayed remains the same. That's how your identity works. If the image of someone who is limited, anxious, or lost is still engraved inside you, the movie of life will keep repeating the same scenes, even if you try to force new experiences. The secret lies in replacing the internal file, reprogramming the way you see yourself. And how do you do that? First, you need clarity. Who do you want to be in 5 or 10 years' time? Not what you want to have, but who you want to become. What attitudes, thoughts, and emotions does this version of you practice every day? The second stage is conditioning. Simply wishing or visualizing is not enough. You have to embody this new identity now. Act as if it were already real. Think as it thinks. Behave as it would when faced with the same challenges you face today. This creates a neurological shortcut called embodied simulation, which speeds up the process of cerebral and behavioral adaptation. This practice has a scientific basis. Cognitive behavioral psychology has shown that changing behavior reinforces new beliefs, not the other way around. In other words, you don't have to wait until you feel confident to act confidently. You need to act confident in order to start feeling confident. This is neuroplasticity in practice. Each new behavior aligns your identity with the future you want to create. And the reflection in the mirror of reality responds with new results. So instead of asking, what do I need to do to change my life? Start asking yourself, who do I need to become to live this new reality? This change of question changes everything because it puts you in control of the cause, no longer the effect. And when you start acting from the identity you want to have, the world has no choice. It responds with a new reality. After all, identity is the origin, action is the echo, reality, the reflection. Have you ever had the feeling that you're doing everything right but nothing changes? As if you were planting seeds every day, watering them carefully, but the soil shows no signs of life. This feeling is common. And this is exactly where one of the most misunderstood points of the whole transformation process comes in: time and the delay in manifestation. Many people give up not because they aren't evolving, but because they don't understand the pace at which reality responds. The mind can change in seconds, but the physical world operates with another kind of logic, a logic of delay, density, and maturation. Let's put this into perspective. On a mental level, you can imagine a new future now. You can see yourself prosperous, healthy, fulfilled. The brain is able to simulate this reality so vividly that even the physiological reactions follow. Your heartbeat speeds up, your pupil dilates, your chemistry changes. This is immediate. But on the physical plane, the world around you needs time to reorganize itself according to your new inner vibration. And this isn't esoteric, it's biology, it's physics, it's human behavior. Material reality works like a field of crops. There is no harvest without waiting. You plant today, but the fruit only ripens with sun, water, whole days of invisible transformation under the earth. And here's the crucial point. It's during this silent period that people give up. They want results before the process is complete. They want to see change without going through the invisible, unconfirmed phase. And it is precisely in this impatience that many people return to feeding old beliefs, those that were already beginning to dissolve. This behavior generates a phenomenon known as the emotional wave effect. The person adopts a new vision, a new behavior, and for a while keeps the faith. But as the external world does not yet reflect this change, their emotions begin to fluctuate. Doubt appears, fear returns, and with them comes a vibrational drop that is registered by the subconscious mind. The result? When the manifestation finally arrives, it carries the old emotional energy because there has been a delay. Reality always lags behind your internal state. You don't get what you feel today, but what you felt consistently in previous days. Studies in behavioral psychology reinforce this. An article published in Psychological Review 2016 shows that significant changes in habits can take between 18 and 254 days to consolidate, depending on the complexity and emotional consistency involved. In other words, even if your mind is ready for something new, it's the daily emotional repetition that sustains this change in the real world. It's not enough just to decide. You have to keep the corresponding feeling alive inside you until reality follows. This is where the importance of silent persistence comes in. Keep believing even without proof, continuing to feel gratitude for a future that has not yet arrived. This isn't denying the current reality. It's choosing where to put your energy. The time between desire and manifestation is not punishment. It's preparation. It's like the resistance a muscle encounters in the gym. It seems to get in the way, but it's actually strengthening it. That's why the question isn't, how long will it take? But rather, who am I being while I wait? Because it is this frequency that defines what will come. Manifestation never fails. What fails is the emotional constancy of those who wait for it. And when you understand that time is not your enemy, but your silent ally, everything changes. You stop digging in the dirt looking for seeds and start trusting that the invisible is at work. After all, everything solid was once invisible. And everything that is invisible responds, without exception, to the identity that you sustain with faith and constancy. Imagine for a moment that your mind works like a magnifying glass. Whatever you choose to focus on, that lens magnifies. If you focus on mistakes, they grow to gigantic proportions. If you turn your attention to victories, no matter how small, they also become bigger. That's the power of focus as a creative tool. It's not just a mental choice, it's an active force that reorganizes the way you perceive, feel, and respond to the world, and thereby alters the reflection of reality before you. The human brain is a selection machine. It doesn't process everything that happens around it, it filters it. And this filter is regulated by your focus. A phenomenon called the reticular activating system, which has been studied since the 1950s, acts as the brain's sorting center. Whatever you consider important, even unconsciously, this system puts in the foreground. Have you ever noticed how, when you think about buying a specific car, you start seeing it everywhere? That's no coincidence. It's your brain highlighting what you're emotionally involved in. Now imagine the impact of this when your attention is always focused on what's wrong, what's missing, what didn't work. You program your internal filter to see deficiencies instead of possibilities. The result? You begin to build a reality in which these problems multiply. Not necessarily because the world has gotten worse, but because you have come to see it through the lens of scarcity, and what is constantly observed grows stronger. Focus is also the link between what you feel and what you attract. This is directly linked to a fundamental concept in psychology, selective attention. According to a study published in the journal Trends in Cognitive Sciences, 2019, the way we focus our attention determines not only what we perceive, but also how we remember and react to experiences. In other words, two people can experience exactly the same situation, but the one who chooses to focus on the lesson learns and evolves, while the one who focuses on the pain blocks themselves and repeats. So how do we turn this focus into a tool for conscious creation? The first step is to deliberately choose where to put your mental energy. Ask yourself, is what I'm thinking right now bringing me closer to the life I want or taking me further away from it? If the answer is away, change the channel. Yes, like a TV, you have the remote control. You choose what to watch. And more than that, you choose what you're going to continue in your mind. The second step is to train your focus on a daily basis. This can be done through simple practices such as writing down 3 good things that happened during your day, however small. It can be practiced when you wake up by choosing an intention for your day instead of going into autopilot. When you repeat this kind of choice for long enough, your brain begins to recalibrate the way it perceives life. And when the perception changes, the emotional reaction changes. And with that, the reflection of reality also begins to adjust. It's not about ignoring problems, it's about changing the place where you put most of your energy. Problems do exist, but they don't deserve your full attention. They deserve your strategy, your solution, and that's it. But your dreams, your values, and your new identity, those deserve your full focus, because that's what your reality will be built on. After all, where focus goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, life flourishes. We have now reached the most transformative point of this whole journey, the mirror cycle. This is the moment when you understand, in a practical and profound way, why your life seems to go in circles, and more importantly, how to break out of this pattern. Most people live stuck in an automatic mode, where reality commands and the mind just obeys. What few people know is that there is a possible inversion, where you stop being a reflection of circumstances and become the origin of everything that happens around you. But to do this, you have to break an invisible cycle that dominates the lives of millions of people. This cycle works as follows. First, you observe the reality around you, the balance in your bank account, the troubled relationships, the results that haven't yet come. Based on this observation, you form a thought or emotion, usually negative, such as fear, frustration, or doubt. This internal state feeds a mental image, a momentary identity. I'm a failure. Nothing works out for me. And this image, in turn, reinforces exactly the same kind of reality you observed at the beginning. The result? A closed cycle where the reflection creates the feeling and the feeling reinforces the reflection. This process can be called the reaction cycle, and it's so subtle that it seems normal. After all, we've been conditioned from an early age to believe what we see. But here's the mistake. What you see isn't the origin, it's the result. Just like in the bathroom mirror, the image that appears there has no will of its own. It only returns what is in front of it. And it's the same with life. What's happening outside is just the echo of internal decisions, held emotions, and repeated mental images. There is no error in reality, there is signal repetition. To break this pattern, you have to reverse the order of the cycle. This means stopping waiting for something to change outside before changing inside. It means starting with a new internal image, even if nothing around you has changed yet. Choosing who you want to be, how you want to feel, and what you want to reflect. This intentional creation activates a new emotional state, which then influences your actions and decisions. And over time, this new frequency begins to alter what is reflected back by the world. This is the cycle of creation, and it requires something that few people are willing to maintain: emotional consistency in the absence of evidence. It's easy to feel confident when everything is going well. The real power lies in maintaining confidence even when nothing has changed. That's creation, that's energetic leadership, and that's precisely what transforms your reality. Research into self-efficacy, such as that carried out by Albert Bandura since the 1970s, shows that people who believe they can influence their circumstances have much higher levels of achievement, emotional health, and resilience. This is because they don't operate in reactive mode. They operate in creative mode. They recognize that the environment is only the backdrop, but it is they who write the script of the story. From the vision they nurture internally. So the question you need to start asking yourself every day isn't, "What's happening to me?" but rather, "What am I projecting now that is being reflected?" And more importantly, what image do I choose to offer to the mirror of life from today onwards? This simple change of perspective takes you out of the role of victim of circumstances and puts you in the position of author of your journey. Because at the end of the day, reality doesn't judge, question, or delay. It just reflects. And what you consistently offer is exactly what comes back to you. You are not here by chance, nor are you a loose piece in a world that just happens. There is a concept that, when truly understood, changes not only the way you live, but the role you play in existence itself. You are a co-author of your reality, not a passive spectator of events, not a victim of fate, but a conscious co-creator, someone with the real power to actively participate in building your world. This doesn't mean that everything is under your control, but rather that you influence, on profound levels, what manifests around you. Co-creation is not about magic or wishful thinking. It's about alignment between intention, identity, and action. It means understanding that reality is not something that just happens, but something that responds. It reacts to who you choose to be, to the ideas you nurture every day, to the attitudes you repeat even when no one is watching. Everything communicates something to the universe, and this communication shapes the experiences that come back to you. This is co-creation, when you not only desire, but act in harmony with what you want to receive. A clear example of this can be seen in stories of overcoming. People who have gone off the deep end, faced loss, failure, and rejection, and yet rebuilt their lives based on one decision. They would not be defined by circumstances, but by the vision they chose to adopt of themselves. Oprah Winfrey, for example, was born into extreme poverty, suffered abuse and rejection, but nurtured a vision of purpose, influence, and transformation. Her identity was not shaped by what happened to her, but by what she decided to carry within herself. This is the essence of co-creation. It's important to understand that this process requires emotional responsibility, because by accepting that you are a co-creator, you also accept that many of the current results in your life are not punishments or misfortunes, but direct responses to the frequency you have been sustaining. This may seem harsh, but it is also liberating. Because if you have participated in the creation of what you have today, even if unconsciously, it means that you can also participate in the creation of what you want to live from now on, consciously. The key is to live intentionally, waking up every day with a clear why, being aware that every word spoken, every thought held, every seemingly small choice is a seed. And no seed is neutral. They all produce something. Doubt generates confusion. Faith generates possibilities. Fear paralyzes. Love moves. The universe doesn't ignore any of these frequencies. It responds precisely to what you consistently emanate. To consciously co-create, you need 3 pillars in harmony: clarity of vision, consistency of identity, and coherence in actions. This means knowing what you really want, acting like someone who already lives that reality, and sustaining that vibration even before you see any evidence. It sounds simple, but that's where most people give up. Because the mind wants quick results, while reality wants proof of commitment. Starting today, start asking yourself, what is my current reality showing me about what I have co-created so far? And more, how can I better align my thoughts, emotions, and attitudes with the life I really want to live? This practice changes everything. It takes you out of autopilot and gives you back the steering wheel. Because that's what co-creating is, participating with awareness in the masterpiece that is your own existence. You're part of the mystery, yes, but you're also part of the direction. If you've made it this far, you've already understood one thing. Your life won't change just because you want it to. It will change when you change who you are in front of it. Reality doesn't bend to desire. It responds to the identity, behavior, and emotional constancy that you sustain. And as difficult as that sounds, it's the best news you could ever receive, because it means you don't have to wait for luck, permission, or perfect circumstances. You just need to decide what you will continue to accept as normal in your life and what you will refuse from now on. None of what has been said here is empty theory. It's all based on mental, emotional, and behavioral patterns that have been studied and documented for decades. The difference between those who live stuck in cycles of frustration and those who take control of their own destiny lies in one decisive point: the ability to take full responsibility for one's part in the process. The mirror of life returns what you hold up in front of it, not what you pretend, not what you superficially desire, but what you really carry every day. And the good news is, if you can carry something new, the reflection changes too. Don't wait for a divine light to fall from the sky before you start. Don't wait for feelings to magically align or for results to appear out of nowhere. Start as you are, with fear, with doubts, with everything going wrong. Because the turning point rarely comes after victory. It's usually born in the middle of chaos, and it's at that moment, when you choose to respond to the chaos with a new attitude, that the cycle breaks, the pattern dissolves. The reflection begins, albeit subtly, to transform. You already have everything you need to start again. The knowledge is here. Consciousness has been activated. The next step is to act with intention, every day, even if no one sees it. Because that's how the game changes. Remember, whoever waits for reality to change first lives as a reflection. Those who choose to change first live as creators. From now on, whenever you look at your life, at the results, the relationships, the opportunities, don't ask yourself, why is this happening to me? Instead, ask, what inside me is still sustaining this reality? And more importantly, what inside me needs to be born for a new reality to begin? That's the turning point. Not magical, not mystical, but practical, direct, simple. And if you apply it with discipline, you'll realize something that changes everything. Reality is not the enemy. It's a silent ally, waiting for you to show it a new script so that it can reflect. You are not what happened. You are what you choose to reflect on from now on. Now it's up to you. If this content made sense, don't stop here. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content. Now, watch this next video where I show you another essential step to change your reality.